Hello. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So today I'm going to talk about my dating application and vacuum cleaners. So I had a history of dating not like smarmy guys, but kind of losers. Like not definitely not the most savory sorts of people. But like I definitely attracted like a certain type of person in the past. And so my friends they said, "Oh, we should like make a list of things of like what you would find in an ideal person." I was just like, "Okay, I'll do that." So I made a list and I was able to edit it down to a list of 50 things. And they were just like, "That's a lot of things." And I said, "No, it really isn't. It isn't a lot of things. Because this is supposed to be for like an ideal person, and all of that." And so, if you're thinking in the long term, you're like, 50 things really isn't that many. And so then, just like, it's 50 things. You need to cut it down. It's like, okay, I'll cut it down. So, like, this was in the time before like all this online dating sort of thing. A time did exist before that. So, in my infinite wisdom, I made a dating application. And so this was after a whole lot of like, trial and error, different experiences in life. And so like I had like the basics. It was like a job application, but for dating. And so it had your basics, like name, phone number, all of that. References and like yes no questions, short answer, and optional essay. And so on the questions, I had three main questions that I asked, apart from like occupation, all of that, blah blah. And those three questions were: do you like fruit? Are you a picky eater? And have you ever given anyone a vacuum cleaner? Now, the fruit question, the first one, it's been like a history of mine where people who don't like fruit, I tend to not get along with them. And it's come up time and time again that if a person doesn't like fruit, like I know just straight off, it's like, you know what? We're not going to get along. We're not going to get along. We're not even going to be friends. We're not going to get along. And for whatever reason, a lot of times when people don't like fruit, there's certain other things like personality traits that they have, and we will just clash all the time. And not like a cool sort of debating banter clash. No, it's like uncomfortable. I really don't like to be around you clash. So that's one of the weed out questions: if a person likes fruit or not. And I try to not like get offended by it. I used to kind of get offended by it. It's like, how can you not like fruit? It's nature's candy. How can you not like that? I mean, like all fruit. How can you not like that? They're all so different. But anyway, so that's one of the questions. The second question: are you a picky eater? A lot of times, if a person is a picky eater, it isn't just with food. That extends to like all different aspects of their life, and not willing to try something different because they already have this like opinion based on who knows what of what something is going to be. Just because they've heard something, it's just like, oh well, I don't like that. It's like, really? Have you ever given it a try yourself? No, but I know I'm not going to like it because I just pulled this answer out of my butt. I mean, just something stupid. It's like if a person's a picky eater, usually like not even willing to try something. Usually it extends to other aspects of their life, and generally, yeah, we're not going to get along. Maybe we'll get along for a little while, but it'll fizzle out. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And then, have you ever given anyone a vacuum cleaner? It's like the main thing. Okay, my history with vacuum cleaners. I had a vacuum cleaner when I was living out in California. It's a little tiny vacuum cleaner that I can handle. You know, it's easy. I could lift it up. Like get it was great on floors. Could do low pile carpet, and that's really all that I needed for my little tiny apartment in California. So I had this vacuum, and I liked it. I really did. And this guy that I was dating, won't say his name. Some of you are familiar with him, and we dated for a long, long time. And he was just like, well, my vacuum is better than yours. Here, you should use my vacuum. So I was just like, okay. So I started using his vacuum cleaner, and it was great, except it didn't have a handle. It was one of those little things where, you know, it has like the little, like, baskets. Not really a basket, I'm not sure what to call that. But you held the basket, and then you had just this hose with little short attachments on it. You couldn't stand up and use this vacuum cleaner. You had to be like bent down and like use it. But it was great for corners and like countertops, things like that. But it was a little bit bulky, and it had this really long cord. So it was better in some ways than the current vacuum that I had, but yeah, I still needed my current vacuum because of the floors and everything. And so then I had two vacuum cleaners at that point in time. So he and I, we broke up. That was ill-fated. And I started dating this other guy, and he was just like, well, my vacuum cleaner is better than his vacuum cleaner. Here, use this vacuum cleaner instead. So then he brought over this vacuum cleaner. So I was just like, okay. So I started using that vacuum, and it was great for like higher pile carpet, and it had like a little hose thing you could take out, and so you could reach like higher places. But it still wasn't really that good for corners. But I could reach higher places without having to lift up like the entire vacuum cleaner like I did with my other one. But it was terrible on floors. And like when you use like a broom, there's always that little line that's left over. You know, and so that's why I really liked using my floor vacuum for it, to get up things like that. Because this other big vacuum cleaner that he gave me, it would just blow whatever was on the floor around, and it would make a big mess. It would hurt because it was really powerful, so it was like being in a dust storm all of a sudden. So these three vacuums, they all had their pros and their cons. So at this point I had three vacuum cleaners, and the two vacuum givers at that point in time, they were kind of crazy. They were like really crazy. Like, I won't get into the history of one, but they had a history. Like an actual, like, certifiable history of not quite being all there. And like my friends used to tease me about it. They used to joke about it, saying they'd hang out outside of asylums waiting for people to come out. But anyway, so I now had three vacuums. And the second vacuum giver, you know, like, it's a lot of drama there, but basically, like, I was out of town, and he was just like, I'm moving, I want my vacuum cleaner back. And I was just like, I'm not even in town right now. You can't come over and get your vacuum cleaner. I'm not there. And so then he got like in this big huff and everything. And I was just like, you know what? Go to school. I'll give you your vacuum cleaner there. Go to school. I'll give you the vacuum cleaner. And so then I went to school like that Monday when classes started. And he and I had a class together. He wasn't in the class. And I had this vacuum in the back of my car. I carried that vacuum cleaner around for 2 weeks in my car before word got around that he had gotten expelled for like cheating or something like that. It was bad, like what he did. Like, it was a list of things. And so then I was just like, okay, so I tried to return the vacuum. I brought it there to give it to him, carried this thing around. He knew I was going to be there. And at that point in time, he wasn't living in his old place. And I was just like, okay, whatever. He can have it whenever he wants. I'm finished with this vacuum. So he never got it. I still have the vacuum cleaner. He never got it. So 3 vacuum cleaners. And at that point in time, I started thinking back to this one guy that I had dated in the late 90s. And because he was very like overbearing, and one time I had to go to like this little like mini courthouse that we had on campus so I could contest a parking ticket. And so, because every time I get a parking ticket, and back then I got several, I would contest it, and I would get out of it every single time. And so he was with me that time, and he saw this list of things for small claims court. And so then he was just like, I should take my ex-girlfriend to small claims court for my vacuum cleaner. She has my vacuum cleaner. And then I was just like, when did that happen? It's like, about a year ago. It's like, a year ago? Just drop it. Let it go. And so he became obsessed with the vacuum cleaners. And I'm just thinking, wow, that is so incredibly petty. Little did I know back then that should have been just a red flag of guys and giving or letting their girlfriends borrow their vacuum cleaner. It's like, never accept a vacuum cleaner from someone. Never ever. Because it'll just be bad. That guy, don't accept that vacuum cleaner. Don't accept that relationship. It's going to be bad. But anyway, getting through with the years, beyond the years, you know, like that question became very important. Have you ever given anyone a vacuum cleaner? And when I eventually, like I found someone, I got married, and he thought the whole vacuum cleaner stories, they were funny. And he thought they were really funny. And he kept on trying to give me vacuum cleaners. And I was just like, no. No. And like, I dated several other people. And I had amassed more vacuum cleaners. Everyone trying to top the next one. And then like, I bought this house. And moving into this house, there were some buildings in the back on the property. And so we went to go unlock one of the buildings, and he started laughing. I was just like, what is it? What is it? And then he like opened the door wide. There's a vacuum cleaner inside. We had just gotten the keys. So he didn't plant this vacuum cleaner there. So the house gave me a vacuum cleaner. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. And there have been so many problems with this house, with wildlife, like snakes coming in. More than 30 snakes have been in this house that I've had to personally remove. Like termite problems, like just all sorts of things, animals, and this house. And then in our other house, this is our second house, in the other house that we rent out, he was moving the Corvette from that house to this house. And so then there was a little box underneath the car, and we were just like, what is that? And it was addressed to the people that lived in the house earlier. So it was sitting there for 6 years. When the people left, they just sort of left all the stuff that they didn't want, including the cat urine soaked sofa, where at the time that was really the only piece of furniture that was in the house. And so there was this box, and I opened up the box, and inside of it was a little dustbuster. So it was like the car had given birth to this little baby vacuum cleaner. And so today I have 8 vacuum cleaners, and I only ever bought the first one. And I still have that first one. But yeah, so if anyone ever in like your dating life offers you a vacuum cleaner, don't accept that vacuum, because it'll bring nothing but trouble. So that's all for today. I will see you later. Bye.